on the internet, what do you see? Clickbait, politics dressed as comedy. Who's outraged, who's doubling down? The GGHOP is here to turn it all around with an ancient idea called having fun. Sounds a little scary, stick around, don't run. In the next 60 minutes, begging you to try. Open up your echo chamber and ditch your tribe. There's just one mission by which we're led, to put a big fat smile upon your head. The song is almost done, time to stop the show, but there might be something left that you'd like to know. What's GGHOP mean? It's your right to ask. The guaranteed, genuine, honest to goodness 1 hour podcast. Good morning. It is Friday, March 1st, 2024. It's the GGHOP, the guaranteed, genuine, honest to goodness 1 hour podcast. All brought to you by Wilson Farm Market in Arcadia. I'm your host, Bill Gant, joined by Karen Haynes.
Good morning.
And James Swinford.
Good morning.
And as promised yesterday on X, we're going to start the show with the GGHOP fully automatic bump stock extended clip joke cannon. So grab your flak jackets and your helmets for a hail of hilarity. Here we go. From the New York Post, according to a study by Miami-based personal finance company Wallet Hub, which analyzed the nation's 100 largest cities based on such measures as Fremont is the merriest in all of America. The 227,000 California metropolis had the highest indicators of happiness across 29 key measures. NDU, a college, Isaiah Kilman was a biblical studies major. Police identified Charles Escalera, 21, his roommate, as a person of interest in his death. Now, local police are pointing fingers back at the university, saying that this tragedy could have been avoided by keeping biblical studies majors housed in different dorms than Roman studies majors in life. And the study says, contrary to what you might think, it's not career achievement, money, exercise, or a healthy diet, which is great news for a country where 60% of the people are overweight. From the Bleacher, no one was injured in the incident, and Atlanta police want to thank a quick thinking center on one of the teams who, when he noticed Cam was fighting, geisha paparazzi are back in the city of Kyoto, and there's been trouble there since 2019 when there were reports of badly behaved visitors tugging at women's kimonos, chasing them around with phones, pulling out their hair ornaments, and even hitting them with cigarette butts. Now, if you're not familiar with geishas, they generally serve alcohol, chat with guests, and dance at parties. So the lesson to be learned here, if you're going to a 2025 season, and revealed that the Fishers 2025 volleyball season, which should make for an easy transition when the venue becomes a full-blown IKEA in 2026. And finally, from the UPI, a room. Oh. The employee was not hurt. And the brewery said the New England IPA from the tank has now been dubbed Blowback and is available in limited release. But this comes just days after an Arkansas brewery located near a rooster farm had the same problem where several roosters were blasted with beer, and that brewery decided to name their IPA Blowcock, and it is always ready for release. And that is the rapid-fire joke cannon for Friday. So then.
Not bad.
There we go. A little something to get you started.
Beer battered chicken.
Before we hop into any of these, just a reminder, today, I'm going to announce it right now, big winner, fry pie, track down. I think we're good. Let us know at the card and the shirt and everything. And nice. Monday, we'll announce the one that's coming for March. And specifically, in March, we're going to be looking for people, we're only picking in March for this one, the people who have followed us on Facebook. So it's Facebook for March. What we're looking for. That's the next one. But we'll announce that Monday. And before I forget, next Wednesday, join us. We got a guest coming. Gibson Wells.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
The great Gibson Wells in several bands. And in a few weeks, is going to be doing something.
I think he's in every band, isn't he? I think he's in every band.
He just about in every band.
In every band.
Yeah,
he
he's
produces for the ones he's not in.
He produces. He makes music. He also does video series.
Very eclectic young man.
Yes.
Since February's over, are we skipping?
Sure, but what do you want to talk about?
Since February's over on Wednesdays, are we skipping the sex toy
don't
things.
see any need to do that, Karen. That's pretty.
I
It's
see
called
lots of
it's called a
reason.
closer, Karen.
Yeah, no. We're gonna keep that
Good
stuff
closer.
at
You
Wednesday.
gonna do that with Gibson?
Oh, he'll be here for that.
We're gonna
Oh,
keep pumping
God.
out the sex toy reviews.
I
See, he was
can't.
he
Oh,
was wanting to
man.
come on a Monday, and I told him to come on. Well, you should come on Wednesday, so I have more time to hype you up. It's just for the porn stuff. It's to embarrass you for the porn stuff. It wasn't. No, but it'll be a lot of
Okay.
fun.
See
We
if we
won't
can get
embarrass him too much.
See if we get his face red.
No, but he's got a lot to say. Very good musician.
Okay.
Great stories. Yeah, fantastic guy. So join us. Any of these beginning you want to talk about? I thought maybe that Cam Newton one might get you going.
What was funny about it was they showed a video from the day before. It's like a 3-day camp or something, and he has it every year. Well, every year it's like he invites all these trash talking kids there. Well, I mean, most of the inner city kids that are playing some football, they all talk trash. If you've ever played, because I used to be in like flag football tournaments and stuff, and we go down to Indy, and it's just trash talk the whole fucking time we're down.
Yeah.
Like the worst kind of trash talk you could possibly imagine. And those kids were bagging on him about some shit he said on his podcast the day before and telling him he was trash. Right? And then I guess when they were walking up to the venue to get ready to play or to do something, 2 of those kids started chiming in, and he chimed back, and then it just cut loose. But
Yeah.
but the stuff he was wearing, right?
Oh,
Because because if you've seen the video, it's kind of a little off in the distance, so you can't see what's what. But he's 6'6", and he's about 245, and he's got a thing. He's got real big hair, so he's got this thing around his hair. But off in the distance, he looks like a witch that's trying to fight off people. Because it looks like a black silhouette, and all you see is his hair, and it looks like he's wearing a hat, but it goes up at the top, and it looks like a witch is out there trying to fight off people.
he generally dressed like Huggy Bear. Now that's a '70s reference.
Yeah.
From show. Like, he was a pimp. You know, he used to come to the post-game conferences all dressed with like a feather in his hat.
And like every other time, he
Orange.
dresses like a Baptist black lady going to church. Like he's always got like a big hat and some crazy stuff going on, and like just the stuff that you just wear that one time. That that big Easter event. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think what sent him over that one of the kids, your slip showing, and that was it.
No,
Dove on him.
No, I think it went bad whenever that little kid from the commercial said he was going to grow up and take his spot.
Yeah.
You remember that commercial? There's a little blonde kid, and he goes, hey, you can grow up and be whatever you want. He goes, so I could grow up and take your spot. I can grow up and be as good a passer as you and take your spot and all this stuff. It's been downhill ever since then.
Man.
Ooh.
So I thought you would appreciate that joke of him, because in the Super Bowl, he fumbled a ball and then he jumped away from it.
Yeah.
Which usually you jump towards the ball.
He acted like it was hot potato. He made a business decision, and it cost him a Super Bowl.
It sure did, and then it never got
No.
good after that.
No.
And and he was kind of he spent his whole life I think winning, right? I mean, high school he was a champion, college he's champion.
He went high school champ. He was a division. He played like 1 year of like Division I and won a title.
Yep.
Then went to Florida and was part of a division or part of a championship there, but he wasn't starting. Left there and went to Auburn, started undefeated national title, Heisman.
So he won his whole life just to winning all the time.
They only lost 1 game or 2 games that year that they went to the Super Bowl, but then that was the Broncos with Peyton Manning that year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Peyton Manning, the old man, finished him off. Wah, wah.
Von Miller fucked him up in that game.
I also didn't know. I had no idea I didn't know at all that there were professional volleyball.
There's
Things at all.
professional stuff of every sport. It's just not big.
Yeah.
That's why when you said that place hold 8,000, I'm like, they're gonna have concerts and other stuff.
Yeah.
That's more of a
That's why I said it'd be like, and IKEA is not really sponsoring it. That's the joke.
It's kind of the pickleball of right now in college sports.
Okay.
So like a lot of volleyball. I don't know if you've seen that thing about Nebraska. They had some volleyball team that was blowing up, and they had like people around the stadium waiting for tickets for it. And
Holy
shit.
cow.
It was like a thing.
Yeah. Well, I could see at colleges and certain people getting around, but I don't know. But here's the other interesting thing that I thought about later that I almost made the joke go this way, is that they're joining, and I looked it up, all of them have this name at the end. It's the Pro Volleyball Confederation. When you look around, they're all confederations. See, I don't know if they're angry with the northern volleyball players about slavery, and so we're not going to play with you, or they've got their printing their own money, but they're all called confederations.
I wonder if that means they could be outside of the U.S. Because usually if you say federation, that means it's part of like a country.
Okay.
It's only in the country.
Well, this is confederation. This is against it. So these
Yeah.
people are fighting our government. So these volleyball people hate the government and our ways of life. You need to, don't go to the, but again, best of luck to the Indie Ignite. And then the brewery one, what do you think about that?
I think
You're
that's
a brew
pretty good.
person.
I love it.
Is there a lot of danger in this stuff? I mean,
Well,
we're sitting right next to it.
Yeah.
Ryan was lighting the gas because we use gas burners to do our boils.
Yeah.
And something happened and it overflashed and he ended up rolling back and actually hurting his shoulder and had to have surgery on his shoulder.
Okay. So
There's that. And then I also find the names funny because inevitably if something happens with the brew, you try to figure out how to put that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They
it
call
was
it
kind
blowback.
of cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well done.
I've always wanted to do a whitetail ale.
What does that mean you were doing while it was going on? Some white
I
tail?
wanted to do a whitetail ale
Split tail ale.
and a hair of a deer.
Okay.
If you put the hair of in the brew,
Yes.
then you can give it the name a whitetail ale.
Oh. I thought it was something to do with,
yeah, I
your
know.
rear end.
Sorry, no
Okay.
Deer.
Yeah. It's deer. I'll be
Deer beer.
damned.
deer beer.
But it was an IPA, so yeah.
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 You
It was
really
already
cares.
skunk coming out.
That's right.
Ooh.
There's trouble already. But so we're not in any danger of this thing like exploding during
Not
the
now.
show or okay. Just checking. Okay.
You have to come and brew. Come brew with us.
Well, maybe.
Let's
I
also
just don't want to get
I
hurt.
think the GGHOP needs its own beer.
We could have our
it's
own
giant
beer.
vats of boiling stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be
Let's
dangerous.
run towards
Yeah,
it. I
right.
don't know. You guys are tough. It's tough being a brewer.
But some of them vats they got at those breweries are fucking huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This one was big, and it popped this guy
Yeah.
across the room, man. It
Oh.
was all right. The wrestling kid, that was pretty crazy. That's a Christian university. They're both on the wrestling team. They're like teammates and roommates. So I don't know what
Oh.
they just found this guy. So I don't know what happened between these two. Like what would
I figured he was gonna go like autoerotic asphyxiation or something.
no, it was the victim was Josiah Killman. Somebody could have dad joked it or whatever. But instead, I took the high road, which
The high road.
I just Roman studies majors. Yep. And then the geishas. And generally they're not really prostitutes, I think, most of the time.
They're just weird.
They're just weird. There's something different. Yeah, people you train to be one.
Yeah.
Because then there's a name for the people who are training to be one.
I guess it's better than
shits.
being one of those pan flute people.
Pan flu.
Well, all right. That's a good start. Hey, we're also broadcasting from the tap room of the Frankfurt Beer Works.
Frankfurt Beer
That's what we're
Works.
talking about. You're doing some bottling this afternoon?
Bottling tomorrow. 200
Tomorrow.
bottles of beer. on
200
the
bottles
wall.
of beer. And can you give us an estimate? You got 4 people doing it. How long will that take? Guess.
I'm going to guess from start to finish, I'd say maybe
200.
4 hours.
4 hours to do 200.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
that's like cleanup too,
Well, sure.
putting the room all back to the way it should be.
And there's things like you were telling me before we got on. There's things for headroom, so you don't
Yeah,
overfill
there's
it.
A racking cane.
Okay.
And,
There's
just-
rules here.
it's-
Delicious. And these are the people who are part of it, and they're going to take some home, and
Yeah.
everybody gets some just to take home and
Yep.
to share.
Yep.
Fantastic. Fabulous.
Pretty cool.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, what do we want to do now? We're done. No,
I'll
just kidding.
still love you.
I've been talking about it for a long time.
Yes.
I need some information. There were several articles about how this legislative session, there would be things about possibly being voted on and it could become law. But they started January 1st. And then now that you're now it's March 1st, but
March 1st.
yesterday was end of February. They're already halfway through where they do this type of thing anyway.
Yeah.
And then they don't do that anymore for the rest of the year. And so it's then I found a couple articles then just a couple weeks later and it's not going to happen. So
It's like when this is the time of period where they like set their agenda.
yeah, and this is the time to vote on things
Yeah.
and pass laws, and then after this, then they do other work the rest of the year.
Yeah,
So
just try to ask people for money the rest of the
marijuana bills flame out from the Indy Star. It says, despite the opinions of regular Hoosiers, the multiple bipartisan bills on legalizing and decriminalizing recreational and medical marijuana in Indiana that lawmakers filed in 2024 are all dead and highly unlikely to return in other bills. House Speaker Todd Houston, a Republican from Fishers, and Senator Pro Tempore Roderick Bray, a Republican from Martinsville, said in November they saw no potential for marijuana-related bills to pass this year.
He's
So
from
it's-
Martinsville. He said, "This is horse shit."
Yeah, hell with it. But then from WFYI,
Local.
the people's paper, what is stopping cannabis legalization in Indiana?
I got one answer for you.
What's that?
Eli Lilly.
Eli Lilly?
Yeah, they would rather take people's homes away from a mountain country and build a $300 facility to pump out Oxycontin than let us fucking smoke some weed and have a decent time.
They may just be,
Word.
Yeah.
well, in here it says there's certain people who lobby
Oh yeah.
pretty hard
And when they've already taken $11 billion from people, it's pretty easy to lobby. When
Yeah,
you got
well, sure.
$11
You got
billion
some deep
sitting in
pockets,
the
man.
fucking bank just to lobby.
So, Indiana, the state we live in, is now surrounded by 3 states that have legalized recreational cannabis, James. They are.
Michigan, Illinois, and I believe Ohio at this point.
I think you're correct.
Kentucky has medical.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah. But attempts to legalize it here haven't made it. One lawmaker says personal perceptions are stopping Indiana from joining the 38 other states with some form of legalization.
I love it. Perception.
So
I care what other people think of what we look like.
That's
all that is.
It's something like that. Senator J.D. Ford, Democrat from Indianapolis, said Hoosiers have been asking lawmakers for cannabis legislation or decriminalization, but some are avoiding the issue. He says you've got elected officials who are unwilling to have the conversation, and you've got some of these other powerful lobbying groups that are continuing to block conversations, block bills from getting a committee hearing. Ford said that the furthest a bill on cannabis legalization has gone in Indiana was last year, Senate Bill 237, and was given a committee hearing. He said he doesn't want to rush into anything, but it's time for lawmakers to have this conversation. It's just people's perception that this is a taboo topic to talk about, that it's a drug and we can't, have an adult conversation about it. Ford said Indiana's lack of citizen-led ballot initiatives prevents Hoosiers from taking the path to legalization Ohio took in November. Both chambers of the General Assembly have proposed legislation related to cannabis in 2024, though lawmakers have been proposing bills for the last 15 years.
Wow.
So in this state, we don't have things where you can vote on an idea or a question like that.
They indoctrinated that a long time ago so people wouldn't be able to make any kind of rules or participate in it.
Yeah, it's
and there's some of those people that are kind of into the church higher ups, and they can't be a part of a bill because they'll get persecuted by their congregations when they go back to some of that shit too.
Yeah. It's got to stop sometime though.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest problem is
it completely changed how Michigan is. Like when you used to be in like downtown places and places that had larger amounts of people, Michigan people are have always been nice. They're not like Hoosier hospitality nice, but we're nice regardless, you know. But they were always just kind of nice if you talk to them for a minute or two. Now it seems like everybody's more open, everybody's kind of happier, everybody's a little nicer. You never felt like there's any edge when you'd walk into a place. You know? Like sometimes
the edge off the state.
Yeah, like sometimes you walk into a place, you kind of feel like there's an edge in there. Like there's a few people staring people down and things like that. There's none of that anymore. Everybody's just congregating.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I just think money-wise, right?
Yeah.
Think of all the people that drive out of the state just across the border and then come right back. I mean, I'm sure out there you probably know 1 or 2 people that do. And
I mean, we used to do it in Illinois when we weren't allowed to buy beer on Sundays.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Danville just built a liquor store for Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, Danville just had like, hey, you'd really drive up into it and then drive right the fuck back out.
Drop in, drop out.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a lot of money just leaving that you could use here. You know, I would think that's something. Karen, you're not saying much on this. What do you think?
No,
I think you've had an edible once. I mean, so
well, I know you should do edibles with friends.
yes, gotta be careful. You gotta be around the right people.
You got to be around the right people. I have yet to secure that.
Okay, we'll try sometime.
This state's just full of people that are afraid of change.
Well, I don't know that it's the people. That's not what it.
Well,
says.
I mean, the higher ups that don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. Even 40 years ago, they knew that it was not really that much of a problem.
See, what session they should get together in is a smoke session. And then when we get done with that smoke session, give everybody some tenderloins and some ice cream. And
There's
be like,
already
how what
not
you guys
enough
think?
work being done. Do not get these guys stoned.
But at least if they do that, they'll
prioritize.
prioritize it to one thing. Like, well, we need to get that bill passed, and then we'll move on.
So, do you have any other than people don't want to do this who are politicians? Do you have any other ideas of why people might say that this is they don't want it?
Well,
Think of any reason.
you know, especially when I was bartending, I would talk to guys that are actually farmers, older guys and they actually want it to come and pass so they can have cash crops that are available when it's not in their seasons. So like, half the time farmers are spending their time rebuilding equipment and doing extra stuff to their equipment ready for the next year. During that time, they could be doing stuff that's, indoor grows and things like that could be supplementing their income so they don't have to pay for a lot of their equipment repairs and the stuff they usually have to spend all the money that they make. Like 90% of anything that a farmer makes for profit has to go right back into the equipment. And people don't understand how much of a process that is. That's why these companies come along and buy up all them farmers, because they can do it as a fucking commercially based thing. Then you don't have regular farmers anymore. Then it's all owned by the government. So if any kind of shit goes down, they're dictating whether or not you eat or not.
Damn.
Damn.
I don't mean to get all
Jinx.
philosophical, but
Look
yeah.
out. I think he's hit that thing over there a little bit. He's got to calm down. No, he's fine.
No,
What-
the other thing was back in the day, it was because of hemp replacing a bunch of fabrics.
yeah.
And a lot of those companies didn't want to have that happen.
But why? But why do you think that people? So you gave me an example of why people would want to do it. Why do you think that people don't want it?
They don't know anything about it.
Okay.
They must not have friends that are into it.
Okay. I mean, doing some thinking about it, I was thinking, well, it could be related to like mental health and drug addiction. I mean, do these states around here are they spending more money on, programs to help
Rehabs.
the rehab programs? I mean,
I think the way that they spend the money they make from it was the contingent that was making it not pass in like Colorado and Oregon whenever it first kind of came around, and Washington was kind of that way too.
Yeah.
It was more arguing about how they were going to spend the money they made beforehand. And then right after they made it legal in some of the states, it was about the banking. Like you couldn't put money in banks that were insured by the federal government because it was not federally legal.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot, like basically they would have to do a lot more work, and they don't want to do any more work.
Right.
Okay.
So like if that passes, they're going to have to make all kinds of legislation about who can sell it, how much those are going to, they have to make all this other changes, and
yeah.
they don't want to do any fucking work.
You would think there'd be like a wheel already made for that, like a template from
sure.
one of those.
Well, some of those
4
other
other
states,
states.
they kind of have,
Yeah.
because when Ohio, what took theirs a minute was because their first go around when they went to vote on it, it was going to be like only a certain amount of people could buy it, and it was going to be like a monopoly. Like you only had so many like alcohol license,
Right.
to be able to
Right.
have that. It was
Yeah.
they were going to kind of do it that way, but there wasn't going to be at the start. We're going to conglomerate and basically have like, each of them are going to
Monopoly.
have a quarter of the market rather than it being an open market for anybody to get into.
Well,
It's just legit.
there's, I mean, there's lots of money in it. I
Yeah.
think, like you said, there's obviously templates. It's every state surrounding this state.
They don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I just think it would
but
bring in more money. And I've always been a person that thought that even if you didn't want to legalize it, at least decriminalize it.
Decrim it. Yeah, just decrim
That's
it.
all.
Yeah.
But I also get the vibe from people and talking to people that by and large, unless you are obviously an ass or something. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that, and I've seen it on years ago when I was in high school watching like people getting pulled over like on the interstate, even in Indiana. What do you got in there? I got like 2 joints. Okay, is that it? Okay, can't anymore. Thank you. Like, I don't think they even arrest every single person they find. They just confiscate it.
Well, cops are just. Well, don't even get me started on cops. Cops are just like they're great for the purposes they're supposed to be, but like half the time they end up just being meter maids because they're just trying to make money for the fucking county or the state.
Okay.
So that all depends on which county you're in and which county needs some cash flow. They'll pop you for small shit just to put you in the system. I
I think by and large the police are good and
Yeah.
doing what they're supposed to do. So I just think a lot of them are tired of doing that part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to find the people that are with the meth house, and I want to
Right.
find and there's on YouTube a couple years ago I watched a video and it was a person talking about, I think it was somewhere like in Massachusetts, and a guy, an ex-police officer and some judges started a group who are ex-police officers and judges who are trying to do laws to decriminalize it.
Yeah.
Because what they found was back in like the 70s, and in some of those states, the laws back in the 70s, I mean, there's an episode of Maude, the old TV show, where a kid is going to go to prison for like 4 years for a joint or something. It's 1968. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it used to be bad like that. In
Yeah.
some states, I think it's still like that, like in Montana or North Dakota. Those have laws that if you are
Yeah.
found with like an eighth,
Yeah.
you can do prison, not
Yeah.
jail, prison time.
Yeah. For
you
like
know?
a year.
So these people found that in this town in Massachusetts, these guys, we had this one neighborhood, and it was full of marijuana dealers. And he goes, and the complaints from local people were high traffic, obviously
Yeah.
people parking, people leaving really quick, just a lot of traffic and people walking around, and maybe later traffic, 2 a.m., that kind of thing. So he goes, so what we did was we did plainclothes stuff. We went through there, we busted these people, and he goes, and it's time, I'm arresting these people, and they've got like 2 joints, and man, they're gonna go to prison for a year. or a year and a half. And it goes, and they're like 20, and they were like, this kid was like a med student.
Yeah, ruining somebody's life over some recreational
so he
shit.
just felt terrible about it. And he goes, and it wasn't good, but we cleaned it out. We cleaned the neighborhood out, and it was all done. Then a month later,
The bad shit rolled in.
yeah,
Yeah.
then came the coke people and the pill people
Yeah.
and other stuff. And now the complaints were there's gunshots, there's fights, there's theft, there's people passed out in the street.
Yeah.
And how we wished we had that group of stoner people that were just quiet and
Yeah.
that there was just a lot of traffic. We would have loved to have those people back. And now I can't get those people out of here. So
Because they're all in jail.
that's who swept into the neighborhood with somebody with some little stronger drug.
And a good thing about a dispensary too, it's going to be like a 9 to 9 regular store hours, and if people can just go there and get it like it's fucking shop right. And
It's
then
like a
go
liquor
back home.
store.
Yeah,
It's just a liquor store.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. We're already halfway through. We want to remind people we're sponsored by Wilson Farm Market. And boy, if you're out there on some marijuana and you get hungry, you might want to go to Wilson Farm Market.
Chicken.
And if you do, take your parents because you're going to spend a lot of money. Okay, because there's aisles of candy, chocolate, cheese.
Yeah.
God, the bakery,
The bakery is just, man,
fudge, cooked cheese.
as soon as you hit the door, it's all bakery smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bomb.
Don't go in there on stuff. Because
Yeah.
really, come
That's
on,
like
man.
going hungry to the grocery store. Don't do it.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
not go in half baked into Wilson Farm Market because you won't pay rent. Okay, I mean, don't. You got kids. Come on, man. Scott Wilson even says, "Don't come in."
You
stuff.
got a future, man.
yeah. When you get home, you can have some and enjoy some treats when you get
That's
home.
right.
Please, but yeah,
And you
lots
can
of
get some
yummy
for your dog.
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
it? That was new.
Yeah.
He's even got some stuff in there. Not bad. So thank you,
Awesome.
Scott Wilson, for the sponsorship. So back to the marijuana talk. So a place now I went. I don't think we've talked about someone here. I went to Amsterdam a couple times, where it is legal, and then they originally thought over there that could be bad, but then over the years, when I was visiting there, they said, "Well, I think it was." And again, it's decriminalized. It's actually not
Yeah.
legal.
Yeah.
But it's decriminalized. But he said over the last 30 years, and I was there in like the late 90s. The person was saying we have now in Holland the lowest concentration of drug users and hard drug users of all of Europe. So when you legalize something, it tends to actually it takes the mystique out of it.
So
People who just-
Portugal did that a ways back.
yes, they did.
Right.
But what they did,
They did it with hard drugs, but you have to be in a certain spot or at home to use them.
They did it with heroin
Oh,
because
God.
back in the early 2000s, heroin was like marijuana here.
Yeah, they were like they're like one of the biggest ports in Europe too. So like, I mean, it's literally named after
Right on
being
the
a port.
Atlantic.
Yeah, so like literally all of it was getting trafficked through there to other places, and they were skimming and
The statistic, 1 in 5, that's 20% of the adult population was on heroin.
on heroin. Yeah,
And it was everywhere. It
Everywhere.
was doctors, teachers,
Yeah.
cops, firemen, junkies, regular people, old, rich, young. Like everybody was just doing it.
yeah.
like crazy, and it was a problem. So they didn't know what to do. So they decided to just legalize everything, like the hell with it. And when they did that, 5 years later, it crashed it. Once you get it out there and you make it legal, you get some pamphlets out there and say, if you want to do this, here's what you get, and you read through that, and you can go get it at the store. I don't want that. People quit.
It's kind of like
Now no one's doing it.
when a little kid always wants something, and you
Yes.
eventually just let them have it,
Give it to
and
them.
they get bored with it. And they're
Yes.
like, all right.
That's what you got to do. And so it worked. And now Portugal has the lowest amount
Yeah, it got
of hard
cut,
drug users.
It got cut by
It's
like
legal.
it got cut by like 3/4.
It
Something
decimated
like
it.
yeah, like a lot.
Ended it. There was no more mystique anymore. It wasn't this thing you do in a back alley and it's
Yeah.
secretive. No, you can go get it anytime you want, but your teeth are going to fall out.
They had
and-
designated public parks for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Wow.
it works well in Amsterdam. I had a great time. People were very nice. Most people were very respectful. And there too, people would say to you, because they know you're an American and whatever, hey, just make sure don't be walking down the street doing
Yeah.
this, and also don't ever do this in a restaurant. That is never okay. You also might, when you get back to your hotel, ask the people if you can even smoke this in your room.
Fly to Detroit
Some
for
of them
that.
don't like that. Yeah. So that used to be the big adventure. I went there twice and had a great time.
See, Northern California, I was standing in line for the San Francisco Giants game, going to the Giants game, and they're just smoking it in line. Nobody gave two
Okay.
fucks, and that was even before it was legal. It was just medical.
See, and that's some of the problem I hear in New York City is that people talk about, I mean, for one, it's gotten pretty ghosty for this
Yeah.
past few years, but it's just like when you arrive there, it's just the stench and smell of marijuana everywhere.
Yeah,
So I understand that too, because
there's clubs in Detroit that just don't give a shit, and people are just in there smoking everywhere.
so I like the idea of something that's more like Holland. Again, it might be different because Dutch people are different, but decriminalize at least, and then have some,
Yeah.
not everybody likes marijuana.
That's
Not
when you
everybody
eat
likes the smell.
That's when you eat candies,
Yeah.
right?
It'd be like if yeah, there you go.
That's
but
that's the way I always
just
said.
do that and then
Get you a different
avoid that.
form. Yeah,
But just like, with alcohol, I mean, it doesn't have much of a smell, but if it has a smell like that, people would complain like,
yeah,
it's like cigarettes and
Yeah.
smoking and non-smoking sections. Those are gone because people can still smell it. People don't like it. And yeah, I'm also a person too that, I think marijuana is okay. Okay. But have like David Bowie once said, he's like, for a while, I had more than a platonic relationship with drugs.
yeah.
So you need to have a platonic relationship with marijuana.
Well, I mean, you don't
need
go
to be
date.
dating every day and every second
Yeah,
of your life,
yeah.
chonging out for everything.
Yeah.
And if you are, man, you have a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time, like, oh, well, okay.
Like-
If I put a beer in your hand and you were drinking all day,
a
is that
functioning-
okay?
Like a
It's not-
functioning alcoholic.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
If you were drinking all day, is that okay for you to go to work and keep doing it? Is that okay? It's
I mean,
not okay, man.
but one of the good examples of it is, it'll make you dance in the street with Mick Jagger.
Jesus. Yeah, that's probably about I think it was about that time he stopped in the middle of the
Right.
shoot and was like, holy shit, what have I done?
How strong is this weed?
Oh my God.
Look at our shirts,
No, they actually were lovers.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Is Jagger's wife, Bianca, caught him in bed. They were dancing in the sheets.
Breaking news. All right. Dancing in the sheets.
So we'll see what happens in Indiana. I didn't know that you couldn't. I thought we did have things here where you could vote on. What do you think about
They don't have props here.
that kind of thing?
There's no props here.
There's not.
No.
So that is not happening. Well, I'll tell the story pretty quick. I have an Amsterdam marijuana story that has just a little bit of David Bowie in it.
Woo.
Okay. So I went to
Was you dressed like Ziggy Stardust?
That's what I did. And the spiders from Mars were behind me. No, because they were well hung with snow white tans, and I believe that's you, not me. So I went there just for a weekend, but I was going to school at Cambridge University, a thing through Purdue. So I went there, and then I went for a weekend with a girl that went along, who's somebody I met. Now I had a girlfriend at the time. There was nothing, and she was like not my type or anything. Okay, so she was like in shape and stuff, and she could like walk a block without getting tired. And
I didn't like her because she could do better.
exactly. Right? Well, at the time I was distance runner. I could outrun her, so I didn't care. But real nice, real friendly. She went with me to get tattoos in London, so she became like my little buddy that would like do fun stuff.
Accountability buddy.
Yeah,
When you're on the
yeah.
trip, yeah.
It was fun. And because a couple of guys I couldn't get to, I don't know, they were scared or whatever. So we went and got tattoos in London. That was pretty fun. And then the next weekend I said, hey, let's go to Amsterdam. And she's like, okay. And I said, well, wait, have you ever, she goes, yeah, a few parties at Purdue, whatever. So yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. I just want to make sure that you'd be even interested. And okay, I don't go by myself, but I would have. So she comes along and we decided too that, something we decided was, let's go there. We're just going for the weekend. So really 48 hours maybe. And from where we were in London or in England to fly to Amsterdam, it took like a half hour from India to Chicago. It's really quick. No big deal. And she goes, where are we going to stay? I said, well, I think let's do this. Let's just stay up because stuff's open like all night too. And like, we'll just like make it, or we could just like sleep like in a doorway. Like, we were 20.
Oh
so
my
almost
God.
it wasn't last year. So
There was no internet to find a hostel either. You had to find a hostel if you were
you
going
had to
do
be
one.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was internet, but I mean, I would have like booked
Yeah.
it. There was no phone to
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff. So we took off. We fly over to Amsterdam, and we get out at Central Station, which is huge, and we start walking. She goes, well, so where do we go? I'm like, let's just start walking. I mean, we gotta like run into it sometime, right? I mean, so we start walking, and we're having trouble finding it, and And now soon we go down some like real small side streets. Again, these streets are like as wide as like a closet. I mean, buildings are that close because it's an old city. It's from like the
it's from ever.
1300s.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we walk by a plate with a big plate glass window, and there's a big fern, and there's sitar music, but there's nothing weedy. I'm like, I got a feeling it's in there.
Got a feeling.
So we walk in there, and it was called, it's probably still there, cum laude. So with honors, like we graduate summa cum laude with honors. So it's with honors. And we walk in there, and it's a hash bar. So we take a seat at the bar, and at the other end, there is an older guy, probably like in his 60s, gray-headed, and a guy probably like about my age or younger. And the person behind the counter is talking with him, and I'm listening. They're going to Miami, and they were coming from, I forget where, Spain or something, and they had a layover here for like a half day. So this guy was just taking his dad to show him what, I'll show you one, check it out. So they were down there, and they're down there, and they go, one of them goes, so what's the strongest stuff you got in here? And he's like, oh, it's called White Rhino. And he goes, who gets that? And I'm listening. He's like, he goes, cancer patients and Americans. So I'm at the end, and I can hear that. And he's like, oh, excuse me for a minute. And he comes walking down here towards me. And he's like, what can I do for you? I'm like, we'll take a gram of White Widow, sir. And a White Rhino, I think it's White Widow. The White Widow, sir. He's like, okay. And so he pops it out, weighs it out, everything. Pay him, which
Crystals.
snow.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
So he gets that in this little tiny thing that's the size of something you would put like fishing things in, like a weights. It's very small amount. And so hands it to me. And it was also fun too, because back then everyone still used cash. And so before I left, I traded in dollars for guilders, and their money is beautiful. I did a thing once.
No, their money is
It's beautiful. The 50 guilder is a huge sunflower, okay, with a bumblebee in the middle of it. It's so pretty. But they do those kind of things so you can't make them at home. She's like, well, how are we gonna smoke it? Well, at a hash bar in a little container, they've got rolling papers you could use, and then they all have the filter.
Yeah.
And traditionally, what they do there is they roll a little bit of marijuana with a little bit of tobacco.
They spliff it, yeah.
Yeah. And partially because some of this stuff has so
strong.
It just puts itself out. It calms it down. The idea.
It'll just goo as soon as you hit it.
I didn't really know how to really roll them. But he said, oh, hey, I've got this. And he gives us this little tiny little pipe that's very small. And so I took it, put some in there, and man,
as soon as you exhaled.
When I blew it out, I was already feeling it. I'm like, uh-oh. So I handed over to here to Miss. I've done it at Purdue before lots of times.
Did you throw her like a take it easy or nothing? You just said,
well, no, because she's done it. She's already done it. I mean, she's fine. Hits that. We go back 2 or 3 times. Okay. So then we're sitting there, and it's starting to come on. And then in front of me is a book, and the book is the menu for the place, right?
Oh.
And so I start looking through there, and I'm starting again. It's starting to, and hey, I've been to college, had friends in high school. You've heard the weeds, so I've little seasoned. I'm seasoned, right? I'm looking through there, and I go through, and each one has the name of it, what it's crossed with, like it's part this and it's part this. And then each one has underneath, it says high and an ellipsis dot, like mellow or calming or whatever. I get to the back, and I'm starting to get wigged, and I get down to White Rhino, and it says high, and just in giant bold black letters, it's super stoned. I'm like, I am super stoned. Well, then I look up from the book and look over at her, and she's like just staring.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think I need some water. I'm like, okay. I'm like, she needs some water. So we get her some water. She starts drinking some water. A woman comes and sits down next to me. Now I'm starting to realize that this place that we're in is a local place, like a bar you would go to in the neighborhood that everyone knows each other, not someplace where the Americans go.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to realize these are just regular people. This woman sits down next to me, and I swear on my mother's grave, she starts rolling one, and she looks over at me, and I look at her, and she starts in English. And then as she starts smoking, we're sitting there, then she starts going in and out of Dutch and English. And I think she's fucking with me. But it's scaring the shit out of me. So I'm having this conversation. Yep. Now, her main thing was that how much they depend on tourism for this, and she was
Yeah.
trying to tell me about that. By then, my friend had gone over and sat at a table, and she's like,
She levitate over
She's
there.
probably
no,
holding on
well,
to it.
I
like
look
this.
around and her head is down.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, hey, hey. And when she puts her head up, she's like, I think maybe we should get a hotel room and stay somewhere. I'm like, I think so too. So I'm wigging out. I'm wigged out that she's wigged out. I don't know what to do. I'm in a world city, 3,000, 4,000 miles from my home. I'm not, you know what I mean? I've never been here in my life.
I'm just a Frankfurt guy.
I'm just from Frankfurt. I'm 4,000 miles from home. I got a person that's totally just jazzed out. So she is just trashed and gone. Okay. And everybody sees us leave. So we take off walking. We finally go back to Central Station. We find a hotel place where we can sign in. Again, I'm taking care of it because she's just this kind of
Zombied out, yeah.
right? And so we sign up. The scary part was the person, okay, I pay them, and they're like, hey, we need you to fill out this card, name, who you are, that kind of information. And man, I look at that card, and the top one is in English. And like flip it over, English is the last one. Like, oh, thank God. This is Japanese, Chinese. I thought it was fill out my
Japanese,
name.
Chinese, dirty
Okay,
knees.
like I just need to get this person into a room to just get them off the street because she just is looking terrible. So they're like, it's room 305. And they start telling me where it is. And I'm just like, great. So I grab it. We take off, get in the elevator. We get in the elevator. As we get in the elevator, like and it's all mirrors. And then on the top is all the vanity lights you would have over your mirrors. Bright, it's like the sun in there. And we're sitting in
I feel
there. I'm
sick
here with
just thinking.
Nutter McGee, and in my pocket, I've got that little chunk, and it just
Reeking.
reeks in there. These people are like dressed up in suits, and they're like looking at us. I'm just trying to like look down, like, get off here. So they get off. We finally get up to the third floor, and I get out. We both get out, and oh no, that was it. So we looked around for the room, and I can't find this room. Okay. We went up and down the halls, back and both ways. Now I'm starting to panic and get paranoid. I'm like, they knew I was American and I'm all fucked up. And there is no room 305. This is what they do to people. And then they're going to kick me out of here and they'll call the cops. I'm like, oh my God. And I go, whoa. And then the door opens to the elevator and we both get in because I'm going to go ask or something like that. She steps in. The person I'm going to ask steps out. I said, excuse me, can you help me find room 305? And he's like, sure. And at that time, ding, and this shuts. And now she's in an elevator and it takes off. So now I'm by myself. This guy shows me where it is. And then I'm waiting. I'm going up and down floors trying to find her because now she's lost in an elevator in Holland, stoned for the first time on White Rhino. I'm trying to find this girl who's freaking out. Finally, she comes, ding, and comes, running down the hall. Now, long story short to this part, it was the first room right outside the elevator.
Yeah, right next to it.
It was right to the right. Probably should have went to the right. So we get in there. Man, I shut the door and I'm like, hey man, everything's cool. She's like, how long is this gonna last? I'm like,
Exactly.
probably like 4 hours, but it's slowly gonna get better. I'm like, look, go. And they're two double beds. We got a big room. I said, hey man, go sit down. Look, shh. I went and got some water in a glass. I'm like, here you go. Why don't you sit down? Take it easy. She's like, I am. And she takes a sip and she just rolls over on the bed. So great. So now I'm mega stoned by myself.
I'm like, all right, going back to that bar.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm wigged from just the whole afternoon of taking care of this person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I'm going to turn on the TV. So I turn on the TV. Well, here's the David Bowie part. It's Ashes to Ashes by David Bowie. Watching this, and then all of a sudden I can hear music that isn't this. And so I got the remote. I turn the TV down. I don't hear it anymore. So I turn it back up, listen to the song, having a good time. Then it changes. Now it's a show. It's like a comedy show, and it's Never Mind the Buzzcocks or something. It's from like England, and it's like a joke show or whatever. So I'm listening to it, and I can hear the music again. So I turn it down real slow. Music's gone. And I'm like, man, you are fucked up. You need to cool it. You're wigging yourself out. Stop it. So turn it back up. I'm like, okay, man, I'm letting it go. I'm not doing it. And so watch for another 5 minutes. And I can hear that music again. I can hear it. And there's no one in the, And so this time, I mute it. I'm like, that's it. I'll catch it. And when I mute it, that's when I figure it out. Crazo over here is humming to herself, singing to herself. And now I look over, she's actually rocking herself. I mean, she did this for an hour. I mean, we went up and down and all this crazy shit. And we had talked about, she goes, well, yeah, I mean, I've had parties and stuff, and that's great. And maybe we could also try. There's mushrooms are legal there. I'm like, yeah, man, I've never tried those. We'll do those too. She wakes up out of that stupor, and she's like, I don't know that we should do mushrooms. Like, we're not, and not with you.
Yeah.
No. So okay, that's story part one. Sorry, I filibustered for most of this time, but golly, it's a fun
was
story.
a
You make
good
her
story.
babysit you while you're on mushrooms.
But then the next day happens. So then the next day, okay, big fun. So I've found that shop. So now I kind of feel like, well, that's my place.
But,
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going there. So we go back to this place. And she's like, there's probably some different stuff. I go, yes, there's different stuff we're getting for you. No, you're not doing any more
You're
of
getting the
this.
baby
this
aspirin.
isn't for you. And then that's when she tells me on the walk the second day, well, I just tried it once at a party. I'm like, God damn you. You said you did it 4 or 5 times. The first couple times you do it, you don't even sometimes feel it.
Thought you was a daily, yeah.
She did it and got nothing and thought that was what it was. And then, you stepped into the best stuff in Amsterdam. So we go back to Cum Laude. You walk in. Now, behind the bartender now or whatever, it's a different guy. And then there's a guy sitting there. And when I walk in, I took a look at the menu again, and I bought her a package of these pre-rolled cones that were the lowest one possible. Okay. I'm like, hey, this is going to be, so we both got a drink. I bought a package of those. And then I had bought like a little tiny pipe or something for this stuff. Cause I mean, this is going to last me now for
5 years.
You're just like, I only need 1 or 2 hits. I'll be
That's
nitrous.
it.
Yeah.
And, one, and I was freaking out. So then he's talking to that guy, and I can see him whispering and saying things. So then, but we go upstairs because they're upstairs. So we're sitting up there. She breaks one out. She starts. I'm like, yeah, just a little bit of time, and then hey, just put it out for a bit. Just relax. So well, then up comes from the bottom the guy that was sitting talking to the bartender. He walks up there. Okay. Again, remember, this is a neighborhood bar where everyone knows each other. And this is when I found it out. This son of a bitch comes up here, right, man? And this guy is speaking in American English. And he says something to the effect of like, he used to live in Atlanta or something like that. And he moved here like a few years ago. And he's sitting there. And he's like, but I'm pretty good at telling where people are from. And he goes, so just by talking to you guys, I can tell you guys are from Indiana. And she's over here, again, just a little bit of this stuff. She's like, wow, how do you know that? In a second, I have already put it all together.
The bartender told him.
The bartender from last night said these 2 crazy fuckers came in. They were from Indiana in the middle of the United States. The one lady got fucked up. That dude was fucked up. They left here. Janet was over here going in and out on him, with the Dutch, fucking him up. So it's a joke.
Yeah.
And these 2 jokes have walked back into the bar. And now he's like, oh, shit, that's them. So this guy comes up to fuck with us. And I know it's what he's doing. She's like, wow. And I'm like, that's amazing. I mean, just like that deadpan.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're a fucking dick, and I know where this is going. He's like, yeah. He's like, and then he's trying to wig her out and fuck with her head. He's like, I don't know if you know this, but you're on a giant boat. I'm like, what? He's like, and then his explanation, it's a canal, so technically the city is floating, whatever. Again, just trying to poke. And then the next one was, don't know if you guys heard about it because you guys are here, but giant asteroid hit Jupiter or something, and now these shockwaves are coming, and like in the next day and a half, it's going to come and screw up everything, so people won't be able to use airports, and the electricity might go, and who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of days. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, we got to go. And I just grabbed her. I'm like, let's go. She's like, what? I'm like pulling her down the stairs, and we got outside, and I explained to her, this guy was just there to wig you out, thinking we both were doing this, what we did yesterday, and these guys were playing a trick on us, man. It was pretty shitty. So that's
pretty good.
That's my Amsterdam story of taking a person that had never smoked before and had decided to smoke the best stuff in the whole city. Dude, scary. So if you're out there and you're getting into gummies or this type of stuff, start low.
Take your time.
It's like you wouldn't do that with alcohol. You wouldn't chug a fifth of something.
It's like, what's this? Absinthe. Oh, cool. Yeah, just start chugging.
Then don't do that stuff with gummies or marijuana too.
Yeah.
Use your head. And let me tell you, the difference is huge.
Yeah.
Because marijuana gets in there, your heart starts pumping. If you get scared, you think your heart's gonna explode. Never get that with alcohol. That just makes you fight people.
Right.
Right. So yeah, but the rest of the trip was fine. There was good stuff. Went by the red light district, just looked, no trouble there. The food was good for the most part. They love French fries and mayonnaise.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You go to a French fry place, they just put mayonnaise all over it. And I never had mayonnaise on fries before, and I tried it there. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't eat
Really?
fries very often.
So is that mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
No, it's mayonnaise. No,
Yeah,
no, Miracle Whip.
You don't need the tangy zip.
And the thing was, before we left, so and then after that, boy, she was a real trooper. She'd been there. Oh, we also went to the Van Gogh Museum.
Well, she's
so
a vet now.
Yeah, we went to the Van Gogh Museum, so we did cool stuff, and we were just sitting there smoking weed, man. We're having a good time. But we're leaving, and we're getting ready to go to the station and then out to Schiphol Airport. There's a person selling French fries. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's just snack before we go or something, man. That sounds good. And so we go over there, and just for fun, since we'd been having with mayonnaise, I'm like, the hell with it. We'll get the American way. So I got French fries with ketchup. She's like, we just get ketchup because I don't like the mayonnaise. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So we sat down with this thing of French fries and this thing of ketchup.
It's basically marinara.
No, I took it close, took it, dipped it in. I eat it. She's eating, look at me. It's condensed tomato soup that you just whipped.
Yeah.
So it was tomato soup.
Yeah.
It wasn't ketchup, it was tomato soup. And then the second time I went back, we don't have time for that story. That was a week with my friend Kurt. We went into a Burger King, and up there was different stuff you could get. And one of them, he looks at me, he's like, what's American sauce? There was a thing you could get American sauce. And so Kurt gets up front, he's like, I'll take American sauce and something. He got back, we sit down, he's like, it's ranch. So many stoned Americans came there wanting to put ranch on top of
American
everything
sauce.
that they just call ranch dressing American sauce.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people drown pizza
yeah,
and
whatever.
stuff in ranch like
If
all
you're
the
stoned
time.
in Amsterdam, you want to put ranch on.
This kind of thing. But I'm glad I did it a couple times. It's a beautiful city.
Oh yeah.
And boy, when you're there, you really get you're standing in Dom Square, and these cobblestones, have been here since 1210.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You're in somewhere that is twice as
Ancient.
than your country.
Yeah.
It wasn't even invented yet. So it's cool. And the people were really nice. Everyone was very friendly. No one was rude. Everyone was really nice. So, and a safe place, really safe. No problems. Except just don't go in the red light district at night. They did tell us that. There's like a couple bridges you should not cross over. Because
Is there a troll underneath there?
that's where the pickpockets and
Looking for the
thieves are,
money?
and they're waiting for you to come at night just to look at it, and then that's when they take your wallet, or they'll just knife real quick, give you your money. And then we did the second time when I went. I did have a person come up to me near the red light district. It was in the day, and this guy comes up to me, and the second time I went, I told Kurt, I'm like, let's try to just wear just shirts with no labels. Let's not wear Nike shoes. Let's try to
Plain Jane it.
un-American a little bit, to kind of fool them a bit. And man, you can't.
No.
It's friggin' impossible. And so this guy comes up, and I've got, I don't know, I was with Kurt. I got some Nepalese temple ball over here. I got some sort of Kathmandu kush in my back pocket. I do have probably ate the mushrooms in my left pocket or whatever. This guy walks up, smoking a cigarette. He's like, hey, Americans. So I was like, God damn it. How did you know? He's like, you want some cocaine? I'm like, what'd you say? He's like, you want some cocaine? And I just laughed like the Mad Hatter and just walked away. I'm like, hey, get this guy. This guy wants to sell me cocaine. I'm like, I pointed at him and laughed and walked away. I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you looked around?
Yeah.
But for some people, that's not enough. They need the cocaine. I saw this guy is trying to sell that, and that's the only thing that was illegal.
Yeah.
If you buy cocaine, you're going to jail. So this guy was trying to sell me cocaine. Like, dude,
I'm good.
look
I'm good.
around.
Yeah.
I probably
It's not needed.
That's probably a tough sell.
Like the ice cream's good. I don't need sprinkles.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
Selling cocaine in the land of marijuana. But yeah, again, great place. And if you ever get to go, Van Gogh Museum, very nice. Also the Anne Frank Museum. First time, didn't even get there. Second time, the line was like around 3 city blocks.
Damn.
So Kurt and I were just like, yeah, we'll watch it on the internet. Well, I mean, we would have waited in line for 4 hours to go in there, But we went to the museum. It was great. Good time. So if you get a chance, Holland is a beautiful place. Wonderful people. Well, I'm sorry that I told this long story and we didn't get to the fun, but we'll save this for next time.
Excellent.
When we talk about Amsterdam, we'll talk about the 25 greatest stoner snack foods of all time. A lot of fun. Hey, what's been sponsored by Wilson Farm Market in Arcadia. And we want to thank Scott Wilson for his support each and every day. We'll be back with you Monday for another show. And then don't forget, next Wednesday, we will have the one, the only
Gibson Wells.
Gibson Wells will be here with us. So we'll put some things on Facebook. Be looking for that. Also, just a reminder, Heather Ann 1973, get a hold of us. And J Dubber 420. I hope he was watching today. I think we're right up your alley today, buddy. TheeGGHOP, TheeGGHOP at gmail.com. We'll send you your prizes. I hope you all have a good weekend. And for James Swinford and Karen Haynes, I want to say treat other people how you want to be treated, lighten the hell up, and now you go make somebody laugh today.